Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. And I want to introduce a very special guest to a lot of us, and especially me. And I'll be honest, this guy right here opened up the doors to the YouTube world. And anyone who doesn't think so, you're wrong. This guy right here introduced us to the YouTube world, and a lot of us have all connected in different ways, especially through the Giants. He does the Mets and the Knicks also. It's the one and only. He doesn't need an introduction. You all know who he is. That's Entertainer right there, the only one. What's going on?
I appreciate the nice welcome, Ms. Man. Like I was saying when we were backstage before we went live, you are one of my original subscribers. I remember when I think I met up with Jet Central and Rover. I remember you saying, "Oh, come over to Madison Square Garden. I could meet you guys at the Garden because you were working there at the time." And that was when I first started on YouTube. So you've been with me for a long time. You've always supported me. You're a diehard Giants fan. And when you asked me to come on the channel, I was excited to come on and talk Giants football with you. And what's going on? Anybody that's listening, appreciate all the support you guys always show.
What's going on, Zion? I see a lot of guys popping in and out here. What's going on, Wales? You got Zion. That's one of my closest friends. He's like a brother from the West Coast. He's a big Giants fan over in Los Angeles. And I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a busy schedule with this stuff, and I know we're inching closer to this big draft. And a lot of Giant fans love to hear. They're coming on here tonight for you and not for me. Believe me. And but dude, I just want to talk a little football. I want you to do your Giants thing because honestly, you're one of the best. A lot of people don't turn to TV anymore, man. They come on here. They know they're going to get to talk to guys about their own team, express their feelings about what's going on. For some reason, a lot of the Giants get hate on the media. And you know what? That's fine. We're good with it. When the tides turn and people want to jump back on the ship, the doors will be closed. But the 22 draft is coming up, and I believe personally this draft is a special draft. It's gonna change our. I believe it's gonna change our direction for the better, and it better. It better.
It better is the right word. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go in optimistic. I'm gonna go in hopeful that this works out, and we're not gonna know how this draft works out for 2 or 3 years, right? It's really hard to analyze. I mean, we're gonna have our feelings immediately after, but it's gonna take 2 or 3 years to analyze these players. But it's exciting. It's a new GM. It's a new regime. And it's a new rebuild. And the thing that's encouraging this time around, as opposed to when Gettleman took the job, which you watch my channel, I tried to ride it out with Gettleman. I tried to give him as much of an opportunity as I could. The thing that's more encouraging for me, at least from the start, is it feels like there's like a real direction. Like they're doing a rebuild. Like it's not when Gettleman took over when they tried to win and rebuild at the same time. You didn't feel like it was organized from the start in 2018. It feels like it's organized, right? They let all the guys go. They let Evan Ingram go. They let Peppers go. They're going to accrue draft picks via the comp picks in 2023. And it was all short-term contracts this year. So for me, it signals, this is a rebuild. We're going to start to build this team up from the ground up. And really, that's going to start in the draft. And the good news is the Giants have 2 picks inside the top 7. We've got 5 picks inside the top 81. So we'll see what they do. There's a lot of opportunities to potentially trade down. People have talked about that. And I'm excited to see the direction of this team, but at the same time, I think as a fan base, and I know a lot of Giants fans hate hearing this, you got to have some patience. Everybody talks about how bad of a job Joe Shane inherited. It's going to take some time. You're not going to flip this team over in 1 year. It's going to take 2-3 years for this guy to build his team the way that he wants, but I think as a fan base, we got to give him that opportunity.
Right, I agree. I've been saying a lot of fans kind of mix up, what's been going on the last 5, 6, 7 years. Look, this is a new regime. You have to cut the cord with what's happened. It hasn't been good. I'm not gonna lie. I was someone who backed up Gettleman a lot of the time. I felt a lot of it wasn't his fault. I do admit, looking back on it, maybe the last year or two, Gettleman checked out. I was a man who everyone in here, and I want to say hello to G Nation Lou, who's sick right now, I believe, with the COVID, and we wish him to get better. I had a chance. He texted me today. He's not feeling well at all. And a couple other guys here. Have Adam from the Hurry Up, who's a big fan of yours. But listen, my thing is, Gettleman I was big. I was huge on Parsons last year, months way before the draft.
I
I
remember.
swore
I
we
remember
needed
that.
to draft him. A lot of people didn't even know about him until later on, and I couldn't believe what we did. But listen, whatever it was, we have to let go of that. Close the door. That was the past. This is a new regime. You have Shane and Dabo, and I believe these guys are football guys, and I have to have confidence in them by what they've done up in Buffalo. So I believe these guys have a plan. I believe we're going into the draft. They have a total plan and clue what they want to do. There's a couple of guys out there. We know that we have to have a tackle in those top 2 picks. Number one is we must have a tackle. I'd love it to be one of the top 2, Neil, Iquanu, but we could go with Cross. The other thing that I believe in, and I want you to speak about, I really have a strong feeling. And I was watching Peter King the other night. He's expecting about somewhere around 10 trades in this draft. And I believe, and they believe, the Giants, Shane is looking strong to trade out of 7.
Yeah.
What do you feel about that? You come up on 7. You already have your tackle at 5. 2 teams are calling you because they want a quarterback, or maybe the Saints want a tackle, whatever. They're calling you for the 7th pick, but you still have a Sauce and maybe Jermaine Johnson standing there.
Right.
What would Tainted? What does Tainted do?
What
do you do? What do you do, man?
It's a great question.
Going on, Jeff? Yes.
I want to say hello to a couple people in the chat. Zion's always been a great supporter. G Nation's a great supporter. Taj, great supporter. Jeffy, Wales, thank you to everybody for being here. Appreciate it. But yeah, as far as that question goes, listen, I've come out on Twitter and I've said a lot that in this draft, like it seems like a lot of Giants fans are trade happy, like they want to trade just for the sake of trading. That's not my mindset. And I'm completely open to trading. I'm going to talk further on it. Last year, if you go back in time, if you're being honest with yourself, you probably wouldn't have wanted to trade down. You would have, like you said, you would have wanted Micah Parsons or you would have wanted Rashawn Slater. You don't want the unknown with the 7th overall pick at Kadarius Toney. You probably want that plug-and-play starter on the right side. We wouldn't have to take a right tackle or the difference maker on the defense with Micah Parsons. So for me, it comes down to 2 things. It comes down to who's still on the board at 7 overall in terms of how you evaluate them as a player. If they're really high on your board, you better be blown away. And I think the most important thing if we're trading down in this draft, for me, the value is getting future draft capital. It's getting a 2023 first-round pick because I think that gives you the insurance if Daniel Jones, which, of course, if anybody that's watching this is hoping Daniel Jones takes a big step up with the new variables, the new offensive coordinator, what we hope is an improved offensive line. But if he doesn't, you want to have that extra draft pick to be able to move up in what is perceived to be a much richer quarterback draft class in 2023. So I think if the Giants trade down, you got to be getting a 2023 first. I've seen a lot of people talk about getting the 16 and 19 pick from the Saints. That's not attractive to me. I'd rather stay at 7 and get my lockdown corner. And if I'm not able to improve my draft stock in 2023. Now, of course, if I'm Joe Shane and I'm not in love with the player there at 7, maybe I feel differently. Maybe I'm willing to take a trade offer like that. But for me, if you're trading down, the objective should be to get a 2023 first. As far as who we should take, I'm in complete agreement with you. That 5th pick, we got to go tackle. I am higher on Cross maybe than some Giants fans. I'm even okay taking Cross at 5 if the other 2 tackles are off the board. I prefer Neal, then Iquanu, then Cross. But me, if I'm the GM, one of those 3 guys is a Giant at the 5th pick. It is such a big need, and we have needs all over this roster. Like we have needs at the edge, and you name a position, we have a need. But I think the objective for the Giants has to be to get that line situated, not just for Daniel Jones, but for the guy that may replace him. You want to set the quarterback up as best as you can, and if we have to replace Daniel Jones, you don't want to set him up in the same situation that you set Jones up from the start and the situation that you had Eli in for the last half of his career. So I think that's got to be the objective in this draft. You have got to get that right tackle situated. So that 5th pick, I'm completely on board with you. As far as the 7th pick, if we stay there, I think for me it's an edge or a corner. We know in the Wink Martindale scheme, you need good corner play. You need good secondary play. And a lot of that's going to come down to whether or not we keep James Bradbury, if that's an immediate need. If we keep Bradbury, maybe they look for the edge. But I think those are the 2 positions you're looking at 7.
You have Sauce real quick. real quick, and this is not the question for me, but I've been preaching to a lot of people. And maybe in the last day or two, a couple of people are starting to make me think twice. But all along, I don't buy the smoke and all the stories that the media puts out there. A lot of teams this time of year throw stories out to get guys to fall or move around. There's a lot of smoke out there. But Kayvon Thibodeaux to me is the best player in this draft. I felt up till about a day or two ago. I still feel that way, but I'm starting to open my eyes to other things. But I'm going to stick with what I always thought. The best player in this draft, and I don't buy he doesn't go all out every play. He does all the character, because I heard a lot of this crap about Parsons last year. So here's my thing. I don't think he gets past the Jets. The furthest he moves is to 4 at the Jets, and I don't even know if he gets there. So I don't think he's going to be there for us. But you have a 7 and you have a Sauce. And let's say Jermaine Johnson, because a lot of people are high on him.
Yeah.
And another argument that we could get into that I've had with my couple of my friends, and we made a bet on it, is that Walker will go top 2 or 3. I don't think so, but a lot of people do. I for some reason, I don't know. I just don't. But I don't think Thibs gets to us, because if he got to 5, I'd run up to the podium and grab him, and then I'll look for the tackle at 7. But what about you?
I'm in agreement with you about Thibodeaux. You hear this every draft. People find dirt on players that, are thought to be the first, second, or third best player in the draft, and they start to fall down. And some people buy into the narrative, some people don't. And we'll see on draft night what happens. But I'm with you, man. I've heard for 2 years now how good of a player Thibodeaux was. He was the number 2 ranked player in all the country coming out of high school, and he was thought to be the number 1 pick in this draft 2 years ago when you saw mock drafts for 2022. So nothing has really changed outside of the fact that he sustained a bit of an injury last year, and maybe he didn't live up to what people thought he could do going into this season. But you also have to factor in that he already knew going in he was going to be a top 5, top 10 pick, and he may not have wanted to risk further injuries. So maybe he did take a playoff or 2 in college. It's possible. Aiden Hutchinson had to move up draft charts. He was outside of the top 100 prospects. So I don't read too much into it. I still think Kayvon Thibodeaux is incredibly talented. I don't buy too much into the bad attitude or anything like that. If he's there for the Giants, I think we're taking him. As far as your question, I think I would lean Sauce.
I wish.
If the Jermaine Johnson versus Sauce, I think I would lean Sauce. I think the Giants, with the defense we're running, a guy like Sauce would be incredibly valuable. I think we need a man press cover corner. I think that's what I would lean. I also wouldn't rule out Trayvon Walker if he were to drop, but I'm with you on Kayvon Thibodeaux. I don't see him getting past the Jets, and in my mock draft, I have him going 2nd overall. I think he's going to the Detroit Lions. I'd be surprised if he gets to us, but if he does, I'm with you, man. I want Joe Shane sprinting up to the podium.
Because I think coaches like the Detroit coach and Saleh for the Jets are all in on these big-time edge rushes. It's what makes a defense, and just don't see him getting past 2 of them. If he gets past 1 of them, I just – like if he was there at 4 and the Jets didn't take him, I'll be shocked. If they took Sauce over him, I would be shocked. And I have some pretty diehard Jet fans. One of them probably will pop in here, Buko, and he's like totally diehard. Like he lives this 24/7, and he swears that he has insider that there's no way the Jets are taking Sauce at 4. So, hey, we'll see what's up, Rig. So the thing is, I'm with you, man. I'm with you on what you said at 7. And I guess it comes down to a person, whether you're big on an edge rusher or if you're big on a corner. I understand the league has changed.
I'm big on both. Trust me.
I heard Bart Scott call Darrelle Revis a source, Revis 2.0 on ESPN radio. And when he said that, it caught my attention. I knew the guy was special, but I'm one of these guys like, okay, we've drafted so many corners the last 2 years. It's like, do we really got to go get another one? But I understand this guy's on a whole different level. And once again, like I said earlier, this is a different regime, and we have to allow them to build their own team.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think it's just a guessing game at this point in time. For me, just looking at what the Buffalo Bills' philosophy was and the Ravens' philosophy was, which is how I'm going to guess what they're going to do. The Ravens, obviously, they have their defensive coordinator, their former defensive coordinator, and Joe Shane coming over from the Buffalo Bills, who was part of the construction of that football team. Both of those teams built strongly around the secondary. So that's my line of thinking why they could potentially be leaning with a cornerback. But either way, like you said, we have needs all over this team. And the most important position on a football team, quarterback, tackle, edge, and corner. I think those are the four most important. So I expect them to take two players at two of those four positions outside of the quarterback. I don't think we're taking a quarterback with those two picks.
Yeah, I mean, I did a video the other day, and just to do something a little different, and I threw Sam Howell out there at 36 if it ever got there. Yeah. The Giants might take a gamble on him getting a second-round quarterback. If he panned out to be what he was supposed to be 2 years ago, you wouldn't have to go into next year's draft. But that reminds me. I totally agree with you. I'm not trading down in this draft unless I'm getting a 1 next year to set myself up for one of those QBs. I'm very high on Van Dyke from Miami. I know they're strong and young.
You're a big fan of his.
I think Van Dyke is going to be so special, man. And, I'm not saying I know anything more than anyone else. I played quarterback in high school, and I tend to, zoom in on these QBs. And I'm not the one who came up with Sam Howell, so I got to give credit to Adam, who's out there. He wants to come on and have a few words with you. And Buko, a couple others brought me on to him because when I looked at all these quarterbacks in this draft, I didn't see a quarterback worth us drafting at all. And then I took a look at him, and you know what? I seen some things. Like he has the tools to become something. He owns the pocket. He's a big body. He's strong, and he's very accurate down the field, and especially on the move. And he doesn't look to run. He can, but he's a pocket. He has that old school with him, and I like that type of quarterback. So, man, I can't sit here and tell you I don't wish Jones would succeed. He's a great guy. He works hard. He's busting his butt. But we're getting to the point where it's like, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think this is the year. It's put up or shut up. I mean, I know we said that last year, but at the end of the day, the new regime came in. They said that they're going to go with Jones this year. I believe them. And it's not a strong quarterback class, so I think they're making the right decision. You still have Jones under a pretty affordable contract. You're only paying him, $7 million or so this year. And you never want to force a quarterback pick. It's the silliest thing an organization can ever do because if you do, well, then you commit 3 or 4 years to that guy, similar to what we've now done with Daniel Jones. This is going to be year 4. If the Giants were to take Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett at 5th overall, you're committing at least 3 years to that guy, So for everybody that complains that we took Daniel Jones and you couldn't draft a guy like Justin Herbert in the next draft, well, it could be deja vu in 2023 if you were to take a guy like Kenny Pickett the next year. If you're not happy with him after his rookie year, Giants aren't going to then draft another quarterback. So I'm very against forcing a quarterback pick, especially early on in the first round, because that's a longer commitment because of the salary implications. So I think you ride it out with Jones for a year. And as Giants fans, we hope that with an improved line, with an improved offensive play caller, he takes a step. But I'm going to be very strict on Jones. Even if Jones improves this year, which I think he will. I think he will improve this year. But I don't necessarily know if he's going to improve enough. He's got to be a top 10 quarterback to warrant a second contract. I mean, with what these quarterbacks make in today's NFL, when they're tying up 15 to 20% of the salary cap, it's very hard to win Super Bowls. It just is. You've seen now what's happened with Dallas this year after they signed Dak to the extension. Now they're losing Amari Cooper. They're losing La'el Collins. So they're losing pieces due to the fact that they have to pay both Zeke and Dak. So he's got to prove that he can carry a football team. And I have to feel that he's at least approaching the level of guys like Joe Burrow by year's end. And that's a tall task. And I hope he does it. I hope he knocks my socks off and he shocks me. But if I don't feel that way, I'm moving on. Now, we'll see. This is all hearsay. Like if the Giants win 9 or 10 games and Jones plays okay, well, then maybe you give him and you're not in a position to draft a quarterback. maybe you give him a franchise tag for a year, so you don't force a quarterback pick if you're not in a position to get one. But I'm not giving him a second long-term contract unless he takes a huge step up this year.
I was gonna go there, man. I've spoken to a couple. I've thrown it out there to people. A lot of people are down. Don't be shocked with the schedule that we have.
Yeah.
If the Giants put together an O-line, and this is more of my type of talk because I'm not the biggest draft guru on the planet, but I could get into the meats of the football game and the team and what I could see coming. The schedule is easy. And I'm not saying the other teams don't see the Giants on their schedule and think it's an easy game that Sunday also. I'm not saying that. But if the Giants have pieces, and if they could stay healthy, I'm talking about Barkley, Galladay, Tony. If the Giants put together an O-line, and I think at one big tackle at 5 would be the biggest piece of all to having our O-line become solid. And what else they do with the line in the draft if they add another piece. I mean, you're starting to talk about an O-line that's flipping the script in one offseason. Now, of course, they got to play and gel together, of course. But you have the players around Jones. And if you give him time and that's what I was going to ask. If he can't give you 40 touchdowns, but if the man gives you 25, 26 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, but the Giants are playing in week 18 to get into the playoffs with 8 wins going for 9, does Jones get another year, or do these guys say, you know what, we still don't believe him, we're going to go draft a quarterback? You're in a tough situation there.
I think my answer to you is if that were to happen, if he's a decent quarterback, because that's what that sounds like. 26 touchdowns, he's kind of middle of the pack in terms of starters. I think what you do, then what is at least a possibility is, like I said, you franchise tag him. You don't give him that 4-year extension, and you're still open at least to the possibility of drafting a quarterback. We've seen teams do this, like the Kansas City Chiefs, right? Pat Mahomes didn't play the first year there. You're at least open to the possibility. If you could get your hands on a quarterback that you absolutely love in the 2023 draft class, it doesn't prevent you from doing that. And we got to remember, Joe Shane didn't draft Daniel Jones. So we'll see how he feels about him, though, by year's end. And I think the first, tip we're going to get about Jones is May 2nd, because that's the deadline to give him the 5th-year extension, so we'll see. I would think coming off the injury, though, I don't expect him to give him the 5th-year extension before the year starts.
Right, and that says something also. It could be that the writing is on the wall. He's going to have to go out and prove it this year. I think they're going to give him an O-line. That's another big reason. Him and Barkley are 2 more major reasons why you got to get the big tackle at 5, because we have to find out. There's no more this, skipping along each year. We're going to give him one more year. We're going to give him one more year. I mean, it's coming down to the nitty-gritty. Barkley's going to want to get paid. So unless he's going to want to settle for like $10 million a year and he has a good season next year in order to get that $10 million, I don't see the Giants giving him $15 million a year. Even though we have money next year, I don't see it. That was another question I was going to bring up later for you. Do you like a running back in this draft? Because I happen to like Walker. I'd like to go back to the old school a little and get a bull.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of running backs I like, and Breece Hall's another one. Obviously, we've been linked to Cook. That's been a guy that the New York Giants reportedly have done a lot of research on, and just based off the guys they've brought in for top 30 visits and the attention that they've spent on that position, I expect us to take a running back at some point in this draft. That doesn't mean that they're moving on from Barkley. I think they are. I don't think he'll be here much longer than maybe another year, if that at all. Maybe they even trade him from within season if he's playing very well. I don't see Joe Shane, like you said, committing a lot of money to Barkley, and I hate to see that. I love Saquon Barkley. I was so excited when the Giants drafted him. He's a great guy. He's a great leader. He's been unfortunate. He suffered some injuries. I think a lot of Giants fans, in some scenarios, are a little bit unfair to him. I mean, the guy's had a ton of injuries, and they set him up to fail, much like they did Daniel Jones. And I think last year, a lot of us as fans did not take into account the normal recovery for an injury that Saquon Barkley sustained. I mean, Adrian Peterson's a freak of nature. Most guys don't come back from an injury like that in 1 year, and they look like their normal selves. So I think Barkley will be improved this year. I really do, especially if we get that right tackle situated. But I do think Joe Shane, if he's smart, if Barkley improves, tries to get something for him from within season.
Right. I believe that injury, you come back your second year much stronger than the first.
And it's mental, too. I think it has as much to do with the mental strength as the physical strength.
Right. He has to have a game where he has a good game where he was able to cut and break one, and he'll get some of his confidence back. I believe the Giants, again, I believe Shane's going to build an O-line here. I think he already is. It's not
You
complete
signed
yet.
like 4 guards.
Right, and I tell people, I like the pieces they draft, but don't be fooled into thinking you could skip the big tackle if it's there right there for us at 5. Don't be fooled and think your
We
line
need a
is set
tackle.
and you could go 2 defenders in the first round, because that would be a mistake again. The same mistake we've made for a few years, except for when we drafted Thomas. I think the O line to me is top of the agenda this draft.
Listen, we got.
That's
I hate to
solidified.
say it. I hate to say it, but I love the way the Dallas Cowboys built their football team. If you go back 8, 9, 10 years ago, that's what we need to start doing. They took first round tackle. They built up the line. People forget about that. They spent a lot of first round draft capital on that line first. Then they got Zeke. Then they traded for Amari Cooper. Then they started getting all these weapons. I think the Giants, if they're doing it properly, get that line at least moving in the right direction. Get yourself a talent on the other side of that line. Once you get the 2 tackles, it's going to fall into place long term. You'll be able to get your guard in the second round. And if you have 2 really talented tackles, it'll fall into place. I'm not too worried about it. So that's the one really encouraging thing from last year. That was the silver lining from the season. Andrew Thomas took a big step up. And you said, okay, this guy could be a franchise left tackle. Get the guy on the right side and go from there.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And, also at 36, I wanted to throw a name out. I don't know if I heard you talk about it, but Kenyon Green.
Oh, I love him.
What do you think about this guy?
I would love him.
Would he even be there at 36? Or
he might be. I mean, we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of teams that need an interior offensive lineman that are picking in that like 24 to 28 range. The Cowboys could certainly. Cowboys, I think, are going to rebuff that line, but they could go tackle, could go guard, could go center if a guy like Linderbaum gets there. Tennessee, I think, needs a lot of help on the interior offensive line. Steelers could definitely use some help on the interior offensive line as well. So, but if Kenyon Green gets the Giants at 36, or Zion Johnson, if you get one of those 2 top guard prospects, you jump at the opportunity. As a matter of fact, if they drop to like 29 or 30, I'd be enticed to potentially trade up to get one of them.
Right. I mean, then you're looking at Zion Johnson. I really feel like he's not going to get to 36 from some of the things I've seen and read. But like you said, if he's there in the mid to late 20s, maybe you make a package to go up and get that guy. I mean, now you're talking about really putting together a hell of an offensive line. And that makes me excited because it's been forever. I've watched the line destroy season after season after season.
The best team I've ever seen as a Giants fan, I don't go back to LT. I didn't get to appreciate that. The best team I ever saw was the 2008 team where Plaxico Burress shot himself. And everybody always thinks about Eli. I love Eli. Everybody always thinks about the defensive line, which is incredible. The offensive line was the best unit on that football team.
That was the best line in the league. Best in the league.
The best offensive line in the league that year. I mean, I remember watching the Ravens game. We ran for like 250 yards against the number 1 defense in football. And they knew exactly what we were going to do. It was like I know you watch baseball. It was like Mariano Rivera. When you know he's going to throw the cutter, you can't hit it anyway. It was the same thing with that Giants offensive line.
Right.
They knew we were going to jam the ball down their throat the entire game. The best defense in football couldn't stop us. So I want to get back to that. And it's been a while since we've had a line. And it doesn't need to be at that level. I just want average. We haven't had average in forever. So hopefully we start building it.
Solid, functionable, like what we've had. Listen, the last 3 games of last year were the most embarrassing football games I've ever seen. I could tell you for the first time in 35 years, I chose to stay at the gym in the first half of that Bears game.
I don't blame you.
And when I heard it was 14-0 at a blink of an eye, I was happy I did so.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
It was that bad, man. I mean, we had quarterbacks that didn't belong in the league on the field. And you had an O-line that looked like it was going to get somebody. At some point, I felt like they put Jones out on purpose because they didn't want to get him killed. That's how bad the O-line was. Like, they just sat him out for the season. But I was at that Ravens game.
Oh, you were at that game?
Brother, and I remember Jacobs running tracks over Ray Lewis's face on the goal line. His first handoff, he took 70 yards down the sideline. And I remember after the game, Ray Lewis saying that's the nastiest offensive line he's ever played in his career, and that was a compliment.
I remember watching the game at a bar. I went to a bar with my friends, and I was just sitting there. I was like, this Giants line has never performed. They were great that entire year. That game, I was in awe. I was like, oh my God, like they couldn't stop us. It was incredible. It was a great performance.
Right. I'm just trying to put the in a few minutes we'll take a few calls. I'm not gonna take so many tonight. I don't want to take up your time.
No. Take up
You
as much
know,
time
I
as you want.
just know some people definitely want. We're looking forward to having a few moments with you here before the draft, and we have such a diehard fan base that's so hungry to win again. And I believe if people will just stay patient a little more, even though we do have a lot of holes, I don't feel we're really far off in a weak NFC, especially in the NFC East. Like the Cowboys look good, but that window is not going to stay open long.
Yeah, I mean, what I'll say is this, and I'm probably not going to pick us to win more than 6 or 7 games this year because I don't want to go in with unrealistic expectations. But what I'll say is this: nobody thought the Eagles were going to win more than 5 games last year, and they won 9. They made the playoffs. So anything could happen. The NFC East, the Cowboys got worse. They're still good. I'm not saying they're bad, but they got worse. And if we could get the line situated, that's what propelled the Eagles last year. Not to mention, like you said, we play a last place schedule. We'll see. We'll see how the schedule lines up.
And then with the quarterback situation with Washington, I mean, whatever their name is today, I don't know. It changes by the week. Whatever they want to call themselves these days, I still call them the Redskins. Hey, sorry, I know maybe
That's
I'm
used to. I get it.
I don't know what their name is, but and whatever it is, Commodores or whatever, their quarterback situation is like they just can't get the quarterback situation right. I mean, Wentz is like streaky. Can you really believe in him that he's going to carry them anywhere far? But
I think Wentz is an upgrade, but he's not, like you said, he's nothing special.
I have a name from a friend who wanted, Buko's a diehard Jets fan right now. I think he's in probably one of the Jet streams. He says he'll pop in maybe in a few minutes, but he wanted to throw out a name or two to you, see what you thought. Leo Chanel.
Yeah, he's second round prospect. A lot of people have been talking about him. I've seen a lot of Giants fans actually bring up the possibility of us taking him in the second round.
And Lance, we'll start with
Oops, 1 second. Sorry about that.
About the linebackers, who do you see?
Sorry about that. I was just pulling up his 40 time at the combine. But yeah, he's one of the linebacker prospects that people have talked about. Muma's another one. I like the guy out of Nebraska in the 4 to 5 round range. I forgot his name. I had him mocked to us in my 7-round mock draft. It was I like JoJo Doman. He's more of a later round prospect. He's like a 4th or 5th rounder. He's better in coverage. But yeah, he's definitely a guy that the Giants could potentially be looking at in the second round of this year's draft. They can go so many ways with that pick. They go safety, they go linebacker, they go edge, they go wide receiver. I think they're just going to go best available player. But yeah, a lot of people like him.
All right, I have my own guy, honestly, that I've become interested in lately, and that's Boye Mafe, man. I love the way he looks as a linebacker, right? I am into profiling players by their body types. Like I like the big physical linebackers. I like the old school intimidating guy that could, knock the life out of you. I still like that. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm old school and I still like physical people,
That's another guy I've seen.
They might throw a flag because you sneezed at somebody, but I think defenders, we have to get back to being a physical, intimidating defense. No more with this nice guy. I think over the last few years we've been drafting too many nice, educated players. I'm still really. Can you tell I'm still bitter about Parsons? I mean, obviously,
I can tell. I mean, Parsons is a game changer. So,
what do you think about Mafe? What is he, a second rounder? Where would you see him?
That's where he's being projected. He's a second round guy. I haven't looked too much into him. I will more before the draft, but I haven't looked too much into him. But yeah, that's where I see him going in mock drafts. I see him going in the second round. But as far as Parsons goes, I mean, yeah, I wanted Slater, but I would have been just as happy with Parsons. But Parsons is a game wrecker, man. I mean, he would have completely changed our defense.
Ooh. That's what I was calling him, a game wrecker, a generational lion. That's what 6 months before the draft, man. But hey, listen, it's not here or there. I think he's special. I hate that he's a Cowboy. But just because he's a Cowboy, I can't say, guy's going to be a special player, man. I mean, look at the year he's had. The year before, we just missed out on Chase Young. Last year, we missed out on Parsons.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell me? The Jets are going to take Thibs one spot before us this year? You see where I'm going?
We missed out on Josh Allen, too, in 2019, the edge rusher.
Yeah, Josh. Well, because they wanted to draft Jones. My theory was that Mara played into that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of that was that they kept Eli because they felt they owed him another year. We don't want to go back 4 or 5 years. The whole mess that happened.
Yeah.
Domino effect, So.
But we've needed that. We've needed that game record, and hopefully we get it in this draft.
All right, Tate, man. I'm gonna bring in Jeff, and then I have Adam waiting next. These guys are big fans, and we all talk all the time. I mean, daily or every other day. So these guys they're great guys.
That's awesome.
Jeff, what's going on?
What's going on, Chris? What's going on, Miz? Good to talk to you guys tonight. How you guys doing?
Yeah,
Good.
Jeff, man. I saw you. I checked out one of your videos. You told me you started a YouTube channel, man. So good for you, man.
Hey, thanks, Chris. If it wasn't for guys like you and Bad Dog, Miz, and all the Giants community that's been putting down videos, helping out the little guys and, giving the inspiration for guys like myself to want to start up a YouTube channel, I wouldn't be doing this. So I always just say I appreciate all what you guys do, and I thank you so much for all the hard work you put in there and, making it viable for somebody like myself to want to start up a channel. So thank you so much for everything you guys do.
No, man. Thank you, man. And I could always tell from the comments you've always been a really educated Giants fan. So definitely looking forward to seeing you make more content on the Giants. But what do you want to talk about?
Well, I just really want to talk about I'm very happy with what Joe Schoen has been doing so far this offseason. He's been working with the amount of money he can work with. I don't think there's any free agent signing that he has made that anybody should really have a problem with. He wanted to go out there. He made a priority to go out there and try to get some veteran good offensive linemen that maybe could be be low reward, or high reward / low. I'm trying to think of the word that I just thought. Yeah.
Low risk. Yeah.
Low risk, high reward type guys. You get a guy like Lewinsky, who was on arguably one of the best offensive lines for years in Indianapolis. You're going to slot him in right there at right guard, so it's going to help out that position. You got a veteran over there. And then you get a guy like Feliciano, who obviously has the connection with Shane and Dabble over there in Buffalo. Can play at any type of play. He can play anywhere on the interior of the offensive line. Sounds like the Giants are going to start or play him at center right now. And then a guy like Max Garcia, he's a good player, like a nice depth player who actually could start if need be. He played center last year for Arizona, so it's a guy that you can insert there if need be. If you want to have, they say we draft a rookie in the middle rounds, you want to have Garcia start out first and then have the rookie learn behind them. So I'm very happy about those signings. Douglas, another guy, Gano, a couple of other guys, low risk, high reward guys, put them on 1-year deals. Even some wide receivers that they brought in, a Robert Foster, who has the ability to take the top off the defense, but he's had a little bit of issues with the consistency and injuries and stuff. So I'm very happy with the guys that they brought in. Or Jahide Ward coming over from the Baltimore system too. You slot him in there with Wink Martindale's system, he doesn't miss a beat or anything. So I'm just very happy with the free agents they brought in right now. And I love talking the mock drafts and everything are fun now, but we've been talking about this for 3 months. I am just ready for the draft.
Let's get the draft over with.
Thank you. Get me to the draft already 2 weeks from Thursday. I'm just ready to go.
I'm with you on that, man, 100%. In terms of what you said about free agency, I'm in complete agreement with you. And you go back, watch my videos, a month or two before free agency started, and that's exactly what I said. I didn't know the players they were going to sign, but the overall strategy was the correct strategy to take. Was 1-year deals, flip these contracts over, keep your cap space clean for 2023 because that's when you're going to start to need it. So I think they did as good of a job as they possibly could to fill the holes with really no money. The other thing that I liked that Shane did was he limited the backloading. In the end, he had to backload a couple of salaries. He backloaded Gano, but you're talking $4 million for a kicker that you hope is going to be here for the next 7-8 years, the way that he's performed the last couple of years. And a little bit, obviously, with the other cornerback, Dory Jackson. But Dory Jackson's 26, 27 years old. So it wasn't the end of the world. I think it was $6 million that they spread out over the next 2 years, one of which was a void year to try to free up some cap space. But he limited the hit on the 2023 cap, which I thought was important because we had a really bad cap situation that he inherited from the start, but he didn't make it worse for the future. He let the guys go that were pending free agents. He's going to get 2 comp picks for that, one in the 5th and one in the 7th. 5th for Evan Ingram, I believe. So I thought his overall plan was strong. We have to realize you're not going to get we knew going in we're not going to get Kenny Galladay's and Adore Jackson this free agency period. You try to fill as many holes as you could, and that's what they did. And I think obviously the most important signing was Glowinski. Also to Taylor. I think Taylor was a solid pickup too, the backup quarterback for Daniel Jones, being that we know Jones has an injury history. You want to have a guy that's not going to come in and embarrass the football team, much like last year when we had Mike Glennon. So with Taylor, you're getting a guy that could come in and he's not going to win you football games, but he's also not going to lose you football games. I kind of compare him to like a poor man's Alex Smith in the sense that he's got some mobility, more mobility probably than Smith, but that type of quarterback. He's a game manager. He's smart. And so I thought they made calculated signings. They did a good job this offseason.
Hey, what's going on? Adam's on. I don't know if you know Adam from the Hurry Up. Definitely follow.
Hey, Chris, I've seen you since 2020. You got me through the pandemic when everything shut down. There was no Giant content. I looked on YouTube. I said, "Give me something Giants," and there you were, just sitting there, just talking about free agency and everything like that. So you carried me through here. So it's an honor to talk to you. And as Miz said, I do have a show called The Hurry Up. It's basically just me giving a quick take on sports or the NFL, and we also do Premium Takes, which is another podcast that talks predominantly sports. But you guys got me into this type of field, and it's a pleasure speaking with you, man.
Yeah, man. No, pleasure talking to you, man. I'm glad that you joined the board, man. I'll definitely give you a listen.
Okay, great. My question, I have two things. One, the Sam Howell thing is, I'm the dude who brought it up to Miz quickly because I only heard that the Giants were in his pro day of all the people, quarterbacks pro day.
And we had like 5 representatives there. We had a lot of people.
They were deeply there. So I'm like, So it got me the brain churning. You guys say, well, the schedule's weak. I don't want to talk about the schedule. It just fires me up. But let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Giants win 6 or 7 games. Now you're going to have to give up a king's ransom to go get those quarterbacks. And mind you, there are going to be teams that are going to be worse than we are trying to get those quarterbacks who are going to want to move up or ask for a king's ransom. So why wouldn't we not want to take a chance on a Sam Howell, groom him, right? Because if they deem what we're saying, right, and they kind of think, hey, we might be a decent team, not a great team, wouldn't it be easier to have the guy in house already and just kind of build around it, and then away you go, and then you can spend your draft pick next year on more alignment or replace the defense or the safety. That's just my thought process.
I don't think it's a bad thought process. In the second round, I don't want a quarterback in the first.
Right. No. Second round.
Yeah. But the thing I like, if they go that route, the reason I don't mind it so much, even though it's not what I want, but I'll understand that if they go that route, if Howell doesn't end up being good, it's not like you're committed to the guy.
Exactly.
You're not paying him anything, right? You're paying him like $1 million a year. So if things don't work out 2024, you could go out and draft your quarterback. So Howell could essentially be, or whoever they drafted in that second round, could essentially be like a stopgap quarterback for another year if they don't evolve into what you think could be a franchise quarterback. You're not tied to him like you were Daniel Jones because you took Jones 6th overall. So it's not a bad option if you like a quarterback. The other thing I'll say is, if a quarterback gets to say like 30, the Giants may be more inclined to potentially trade up from 36 to 30 to get him because it gives you the ability to sign him on the 5th-year option if it's a first-round draft pick. That's what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson. So if they are interested in a quarterback, I wouldn't be shocked if they trade back up into the back end of the first round to grab one, whether it be Howell, whether it be Corral, or whoever.
Awesome. That's awesome. And then your thoughts on possibly getting Trayvon Walker. For me, I don't necessarily like – I like Walker as a prospect, but he scares me because he's positionless. And everyone's like, oh, well, he could be Alden Smith. Well, where is Alden Smith on the tape? Because I don't see Alden Smith on the tape. All right, when I watch the tape, I see a guy that's gets most of his sacks against guards who are not the most athletic players, right? He doesn't do anything on the edge. So now you're telling me this guy's going to go number 1? What's your thought?
I think the Trayvon Walker hype's a little bit overblown. I definitely think he's an incredible athlete. I mean, when I watched the combine, I was like, oh my God, like he's 273. The guy ran a 4.52. But the thing that impressed me most about him in the combine was actually the drills. When you saw him backpedal and drop back in covers, I was like, wow, a guy like that, he looks really smooth for his height and weight. But like you said, he's kind of a tweener. A lot of people feel like if he wants to be a stand-up linebacker, he's got to lose 10 pounds. And a lot of people feel like if he wants to be a hand-in-the-dirt defensive end, he's got to gain about 10 pounds. He's kind of in the middle right now. And, I mean, he's definitely got a lot of potential. But if I'm the Jaguars, I'm not even considering him. And I know there's been rumors that they are. I'm praying that they do because that potentially increases the possibility of a guy like Kayvon Thibodeau dropping a 5, who I would much sooner take a shot on in the top 5 picks.
I agree with you there. Well, thanks for speaking with me. I got to go, but I just wanted to pop on to support with Miz and say what up to Chris because you got me through some stuff. So thanks a lot, man, and I'll see you around.
Appreciate you for
Have a
coming
good
on,
one,
man.
Adam.
Talk to you later. You got a question in the chat. We have Zion. Zion's on right. Actually, we'll go to Zion because I know that he's taking a few minute break. He's at work right now, so he's taking a couple minutes real quick to call in and say what's up to you. Go ahead, Zion. Z, are you there?
Maybe can't hear.
Maybe Z is out. I don't know. Hold on one second.
I don't like Trayvon Walker. I'm scared to death of that guy. We've tried this song and dance so much with guys with potential, and look what's happened to us over the years. We've always gone for those guys with the high potential, and it's just bit us in the butt all the time. So I want no part of Trayvon Walker at all.
Yeah, the only time I can recall specifically at that position where we went for a guy with really high upside that seemed to be a bit of a project that really worked out was JPP. I remember when he was coming out of USF, he did all the cartwheels and he impressed people at the combine with his shoulder pads on, with his strength and his speed. But yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I if we take him at 7, I'm okay with it. But if I'm not taking him over Kayvon Thibodeau and I'm not taking him over Sauce Gardner. So we'll see.
Yeah, and what also helped out a guy like JPP is he had other guys over there on the defensive line, like other established stars on that team, where he was able to learn behind them, like a Justin Tuck, Matthias Kiwanuka, Osi Umenyiora, and those types of guys, where he could learn underneath them, and he wasn't forced right in there to start playing and playing good automatically. He could have taken his time to be able to learn the NFL game as he goes, and that's what ended up happening after a couple of seasons. He started to finally adjust to the game, and that's when we got to see his high potential, obviously, during that 2011 season against Dallas, what he did, and then he became a pass rush force. So, I mean, it made it a little bit easier compared to a Trayvon Walker, where he might have to come in and immediately be the guy on that defensive line / outside linebacker. So,
great point. That's a great point you bring up.
So, I mean, I'm a little worried about taking a chance on a high potential guy like that because, I mean, like I mentioned, we tried it so many times and it's just bit us before. So I'd rather go with somebody that seems to be a little bit more of an established player, like a Tibbs, if he can ever find a way to drop down to 5, which Miz is probably right. If he's sitting there and the Jets have a chance to take him, I think they're going to be all over trying to get him in a New York Jets uniform because that team is lacking pass rush so much right now. Besides an injured Carl Lawson.
The only way I could see Tibbs, and who knows, I shouldn't say that because most people said there's no way Josh Allen will get to us in 2019, and he did. But realistically speaking, the only way I could see Thibodeau fall in the 5 is if a team trades up for a quarterback. If the Jets say trade out of 4 with the Falcons come up, get a quarterback. That's really the only way I could see it being a moderate possibility. Outside of that, and even then, I don't think he will. I still think he's going 2nd overall to the Lions. Unless Trayvon Walker surprises us and the Jaguars do, in fact, take him. But that's really the only way. I think it would require a team trading up for a quarterback in the top 4.
How you doing, Tuto?
We got Tuto in the house. What's up, Tuto? How you doing?
What's going on, man?
The weather in Staten Island is 72 and sunny, so it's a nice day. Zion, real quick, had a question for Tana. Wanted to ask Chris before he got cut off, I guess. You and him want to come on for a third. Well, Zion has a show called The 30. He does a 30-minute session, so he'll do a 30-minute football interview, let you talk a little, and then it's a video, it's not live, and that's his thing. He's done a lot of people across YouTube, so he's in, so you can reach out to him, I guess, on Twitter or comment to him like I always do in his YouTubes and annoy him over there.
Just if he doesn't have Twitter, just you message me on Twitter, and I'll make it a point to come over there.
Definitely, and so we could go through me if you don't have a Twitter, Zion. I'm pretty sure he does. But also one other question back up here that we didn't get a chance to get to. Right there, Tana.
Peter's the man. What's going on, Pete? Man, I always talk to him on Twitter. He says, I know you want offensive tackle. What do you think about the thought process of Tibbs and Sauce, then Green or Tyler Smith? Well, Green's a guard. He's not a tackle. Playing right tackle, pick 36. I want to tackle. I'm not going to hide that fact. I'm not, I'm going to give whatever they do. I'm going to give them the opportunity to build the team in the way that they see fit. But if it's me, like I told Miz earlier, I'm taking a tackle. I'm taking a tackle at 5. I ain't even messing around at 7.
And which one, Chris? Which one do you want? You have any one of those top 3? Which one?
I want Neal. I want Neal.
See, man, you and me are like, it's crazy, man. We are always on the same page. Like, since I
want
knew you,
Neal,
I'm not just saying that, man. Evan Neal is the best tackle in this draft.
Neal to me seems to be the safest bet. He's played on the right side before, which is where he's going to be playing if the New York Giants draft him. He's big, but not too big. Like, people talk about his size and they say Mekhi Becton. He's not that big. And he hasn't had, like, weight problems like Becton had in college. He's massive. He's played at the best program in the NFL. And for his size, he's an incredible athlete. My favorite guy to watch of the three is Ekwonu. Ekwonu is so fun to watch when you watch his highlight tapes and his film breakdowns. He is a mauler. He's nasty. Not quite as big as Neal, though. And as you know, I think Neal's probably the safer. Ekwonu may have a little bit higher of a ceiling. And I think Charles Course is better than people think, though. But Neal's definitely my number one.
Oh, I'm gonna be the guy that you guys are gonna be against. I want Ekwonu. I want Ekwonu bad, just because of what you just said, Chris. Man. That aggressiveness. I love that mean streak he has. That's the type of physical presence I want on this team. I want a guy that's going to go out there and he's going to knock you on your ass the entire time. That's the offensive lineman I want, and that's exactly what Ekwonu will do. Plus, he's a really good run blocker, too. So, I mean, I think he'd be a great anchor for that right side of the line. And if you ever need to, you can always if we end up doubling at offensive line, which is it's a possibility. If we can find a way to get two offensive linemen, you can always kick Ekwonu into the guard position. So the guy is as versatile as can be, and that's what you need if you want a steady offensive line, is a guy that's willing to or can play multiple positions on that offensive line. So yeah, Ekwonu is the guy I really want.
That's a great point. Obviously, you're going to draft him to be your tackle if you're taking him that early, but things change, right? I mean, Justin Pugh, remember we kicked him to the inside. So things change, right? Maybe you draft a tackle in another draft if you feel like Ekwonu's not getting the job done on the outside. So he does have that ability to move to the inside. I think Neal's played guard as well at the collegiate level, if I'm not mistaken. But people feel like Ekwonu's a more natural guard. So it's a good point you bring up. I love Ekwonu. Like, he is probably my favorite prospect to watch in this year's draft class. He's as mean as they come on the offensive line, man. I remember my subscribers in like November and December started saying, "Chris, you got to look at Ekwonu." And I was in love the second I saw him. And that was when he was being mocked to go like 20. But that guy is as mean as they come. I'll be very happy on draft night if we get either one of them.
100%.
Can you imagine seeing Miz? Can you imagine watching Ekwonu and he's over there knocking Parsons on his ass? That would be great.
Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
I was going to say, imagine we get to watch Ekwonu over there with the nasty streak and he knocks Parsons on his ass and against the Dallas Cowboys. That would be so great to watch. Because you could see it happen.
You know me, man. I've been talking about the O-line and screaming for like 2-3 years about the O-line. Anyone who knows me, man, I even went on Kim Jones and screamed at her on the fan live about the O-line for like 6 minutes.
I heard that.
She actually gave me the mic and didn't say a word the whole time because she knew I was dead on. And I was like, I begged Mara to go out the organization, and that was 2 weeks before he went and did it. So I'd like to think that maybe he heard me. I don't know. But the thing is, a lot of people wanted that, but give me one of these tackles at 5, and then anything they want to do after that, I will sit back and be good with.
Yeah.
And I mean the
same way.
But to Pete's question, if they decide to go that route, I will support it. If they decide to go with an edge in a corner with the first 2 picks and then get a tackle in the second round, I'll support it. You know, I'm not the paid professional. They are. It's their job to evaluate this team. As a fan, I have to hope that they're right. I know a lot of people point to the fact that the Buffalo Bills, when Joe Shane was there, didn't take a first-round offensive lineman. This is a little bit of a different scenario. The Bills spent a lot of money in free agency to fill up that offensive line when they first took that job, and they weren't picking early in the first round where there were, high-end tackle prospects. They were picking towards the back end, and they did take Cody Ford. It was in the second round, but it was very early second round. I think it was in 2018 or whatever year it was. So I understand fans look at it that way, and if the Giants elect to go that route, so be it. But they better get that right tackle right. I'll say that right now because Matt Parrott is not it. And I think, when you look at Matt Parrott, he is like the polar opposite of Ekwonu. We talk about how Ekwonu has this mean streak. Parrott, the book on him is the guy's
Just a nice guy.
He's too nice. And even our offensive line said that last year about him.
I wouldn't give up on Pert. I'm not giving up on Lemieux. I think the last few years the Giants have not developed well. I'm hoping, and I think I'm going to trust this regime, and I think there'll be development much better than there was the last 8 years. And I think that the drafting will be much better. I think that they scout very well, and we've been missing those two things for a long time, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we are so bad. We don't develop anymore, and we haven't been drafting well. I expect these guys to do that, so I'm not giving up on Pert. I'm not giving up on Lemieux. I think they can be developed. You keep them around; they're young, and we all like and hope for Nick Gates. I don't know what's going to happen with that. So,
yeah, I mean, at a bare minimum, you hope those guys could be at least depth linemen, and Parrott and Lemieux. Right. If they work out to be starters, great.
I'll throw one more guy at you, Tanner, who I was crazy about months ago, and he's kind of like died out, but I think he's going to spark back up. We get the week into the draft, and that's Lindenbaum.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to go there, Miz. I knew you were going to go there.
You know I'm going there, man. Yeah. You know me.
Yeah.
Giants fans, I love him. I think the reason he's dropped is because he had a really underwhelming combine, not necessarily with the testing, but his measurements. I think his arms were like much smaller than people thought. And he was he has below average arm length for an interior offensive lineman in the NFL, and he weighed in 10 pounds lighter than people anticipated. So I think those are the red flags and why he's dropping to, I say, the mid to late first round. But listen, man, if he ever dropped to 36, or if he ever dropped to the back end of the first round, like we talked about earlier, if the Giants trade up to get him, I'll be very happy. Listen, when I watch Tyler Linderbaum, when you can watch certain football players and you can say that guy just loves playing the sport of football, he's one of those guys. And he's super athletic for a man his size. He's nasty. So, yeah, man, I'd be in love if we got Tyler Linderbaum or in a potential trade down.
I love the guy too.
Like if we traded
another nasty guy for that offensive line. Imagine you put Linderbaum and Ekwonu on that offensive line, you instantly have your mean streak and your toughness and everything right back on that offensive line. That's exactly what this offensive line needs. It needs to.
Hey, Jeff, I'll give you the honor, Jeff. Introduce Kayla to Kayla. Kayla is a huge fan. The last 2-3 weeks, she's become like family to everybody. She's a diehard Giants fan. She knows more than 70% of the guys on YouTube. I can tell you that. And I'm telling you. And she interns for the Jets. We found out.
Oh, really?
And
that's cool. Well, that's what she messed up.
Well, yeah. No, she's good with that. Listen, she's building a career for herself. She's really from California. She's staying in the Jersey MetLife area right now.
So wait. Let me get this straight. Kayla is from California. She interns for the Jets, right. but she's a Giant fan.
She's a big Giants fan. I mean, and all she does is talk about she talks about the O-line just like we do. That's all she talks about.
I love it. All right, let's hear a question.
Yeah, so go ahead, Jeff.
Now, I was going to say, too, that this is actually a position that worries me a lot, but a lot of fans think that it's going to get a lot better going into this coming season because of the system coming in. That's the wide receiver position. That wide receiver position scares the daylights out of me because you know what? Kenny Golladay is a guy, paid a whole lot of money for him, can't stay healthy, had issues with some drops at times, gave up on some plays. Sterling Shepard, the epitome of a guy that when he's actually on the field, which is never, he's reliable when he's on the field, but that's the thing, he's never on the field. And we just, I mean, I give him credit for coming back, but you can't count on him. And then Tony, another guy, all the talent in the world to become a big-time player in this league, another guy that just can't stay on the field. And so there's been questions all over the place if this guy actually loves the game of football. So I think the wide receiver position is not as much of a lock as most people think. And also, there's a possibility after this year that entire wide receiver position could be cleaned out with a snap of our finger. Every one of these guys could be gone. Slayton could be gone. Galladay could be cut. Shepard could walk as a free agent. Even Tony could be gone if the Giants brass doesn't think that this guy is part of the future. So if a wide receiver is high on their list, like a Garrett Wilson, a Chris Olave, a Traylon Burks, or Jamison Williams, any of these guys, they feel like that this guy can be somebody that can use as a number one receiver because that's what the Bills had. They had a true number one receiver that could open up things for everybody. And that's what Joe Shane and Brian Dable predicate their offense a lot on is a number one receiver like a Stephon Diggs. And maybe the Giants are going to look into this draft and surprise some people and maybe try to get that number one receiver, not just for Daniel Jones, but for whoever the future quarterback is on this team. So I'm just saying, do not be shocked if wide receiver becomes a much bigger priority and could be a guy that they pick early in the draft than most people think. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. And a lot of other Giants YouTube content creators have said that too.
Yeah, no. I think wide receivers are a possibility at 7. I think it's a possibility. I don't think it's likely,
Right.
but I think it's a possibility. I think it's definitely a possibility at 36.
No, thank you. No,
Especially
thank
especially if an unexpected guy drops there. But I'm not going to rule that as a possibility. Like you said, Kenny Golladay is probably not going to be in the long-term plans of this team. Kadarius Toney, for the second straight year, is not showing up to voluntary minicamp. So that's probably not the best impression for the new head coach. And like you said, they're really injury-prone. Sterling Shepard's not going to be here much longer. So that's a need. We have needs all over this team. Yeah, every position's a need, as far as I'm concerned, going into this draft. So I am not going to be shocked if they take a wide receiver at 7. I wouldn't be shocked. I don't expect it. I will not mock it. I don't expect it. At 36, I think it's definitely a possibility. But I think anything's a possibility at 36. Safety's a possibility. Corner's a possibility. Edge is a possibility. Hell, quarterback's a possibility. Everything is open on the table at 36.
It's going to be interesting, guys. We're getting down to it. I don't want to hold Tana. I'll call it the final few minutes here. If anybody in the chat wants to throw a quick question at Entertainer, you better do so right now. And
I just want to say it's been a pleasure to be able to jump on here. I've been supporting you for over a year. You're one of the first people that I followed when it came to the Giants community. If it wasn't for guys like you, I wouldn't be doing this and hopping on, being able to talk Giants and sports in general. So like I said, I thank you so much. It's been an honor to be able to talk with you. And Miz, the fire and the passion of the New York Giants fan base, as always, bro. It's always great to talk with you too.
I appreciate everybody. It's good stuff. And my friend Eugene Grimmon's in the house. He knows you through the Knicks. He's a diehard Knicks fan. He also works.
Eugene, yeah, man. I'll be getting on the Knicks content next year. I took the year. I wanted to take a couple months off of YouTube, so I didn't live stream the last 30 or so Knicks games. But I'll be back on the Knicks grind next year. I'm excited about the Knicks. We'll see what we do in the draft. But I want the kid from Kansas. I'll tell you that right now. Abaji or however.
That was Orlando.
I just saw.
Well, go ahead.
I just saw a trade. There was a rumor that came out on Twitter not that long ago. The Knicks might be looking to trade Randall and a first-round pick for like a big-time player or something. So this is a rumor that was just dropped about an hour or two ago on Twitter. So, I mean, the Knicks might be trying to package Randall in a first for maybe a big-time player to give that team a little bit of a spark. Maybe team him up with Barrett.
If they could trade Randall, I would be happy. Because, and I was a big Randall fan going into this year, and I think most Knicks fans were. Obviously, a lot of us gave him hell during the playoffs after the Hawks series where he kind of struggled. But just his body language, and I think the way that he responded to the fan base this year, it kind of left a sour taste in my mouth, and I just don't think the guy's a leader. And if you get him out of here, get rid of that salary, I don't know if you're going to be able to do it. But if you can, I think that's in the Knicks' best interest, especially when you look at Obi Toppin and the way that he looks like he's starting to grow towards the end of the season. You got to find a way to get that guy minutes. So I'm with you. If they get rid of Randall, do it. In terms of the encouraging things down the stretch, RJ Barrett looked great. I thought over the last month and a half, 2 months. And obviously Emmanuel quickly looked really good too the last month or so. So we'll see what we do in the draft, and we'll see if we get creative with trades in the offseason. But I'm still excited about the Knicks.
Hey, Kayla S. Burrow has Jamar Chase. Josh Allen has Diggs. Who does Daniel Jones have? You can't really say Tony. Still a question mark.
She's right.
Galladay. I mean, but he didn't produce like we paid him to. So as of now, you don't have nobody. He doesn't have a number one option.
Buko's in the house. That's the Jets fan I told you about. This guy's like a brother. We work out in the gym almost every day. We just go at it. I make fun of him. That's Buko. He knows. He watches you. He's asking, what's your thoughts on Jelani Woods?
That's the tight end.
Right.
Yeah,
Virginia.
He's being mocked.
I guess keeping in mind for the Jets, I guess he's looking for and I know he's crazy for a wide receiver at 10, and he does not want he doesn't want Sauce really at 4. He wants the edge rusher. But
I like him. A lot of Giants fans have actually been talking up Jelani Woods over the last couple of days on Twitter. He's a good tight end prospect. I think he's going to go in the 3rd, 4th round area. Good. He's tall as hell. He's 6'7". So yeah, I like him as a product. The thing that's so good about this. The thing that's so good about this draft class is it's at that position, it's really deep. Like you're going to be able to get a good tight end in the 4th or 5th round. I think that's probably the deepest position in this year's draft class. It's not top heavy though. There's no, Kyle Pitts, but it's a really talented group of players this year.
What about Trey McBride? I mean, he's been one of the guys
He's
that's
the
been
number one.
mocked as
Most
pretty
people
high.
feel like he's the number one. I don't want him just because I think he's going to go in the 2nd round, and I don't want to use the 36th pick on a tight end.
That's
I
the
like
one I
Rocco a
love,
lot,
but
too.
like you just said, he's going to be gone, and I think that we go for a tight end in the 3rd round, right? That makes
Maybe in the
sense.
4th, 3rd, 4th, in that area. Yeah, that's where I see it happening.
And I predicted this last night to people, and I'll stick with my prediction. I think Bradbury can be packaged up into some type of trade on draft night.
Yeah, I've said that as well for a couple of weeks. I agree with you. That's if they're going to trade him, that's probably when it's going to happen at this point. Maybe they get creative and they take the 36th pick and Bradbury move up to one of those Chiefs picks at 29 or 30. Who knows? But yeah, I still think Bradbury's going to get traded. I really do. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Right.
I
Well,
agree 100%.
What does it say? Tyreek Hill. Oh, if he's talking about the wide receiver market is insane. And
right.
what's his name ruined that? Christian Kirk when he signed for like $22 million a year with the Jaguars. That was like the worst contract I've ever seen.
They gave Zay Jones big money too.
I'm wrong for thinking that. You think I'm wrong for thinking this? Tyreek Hill, if he wanted to continue being really about football, he would have found a way to stay with the Chiefs. I think that you go to Miami. We've seen this for years. You go to Miami for your pension and to party. I don't think that you go there for serious football. They also sign all these big names because, listen, I go down to Florida a lot, right? They do not sell their games out at all. They have a hard time getting fans to the games.
Yeah,
So,
and he talked about that, like Jeff did, the possibility of taking a wide receiver at 7 because of their market. It's a good point, and it's certainly possible, and it depends how high they are on those guys. As far as Tyreek Hill goes, yeah, it was money. I think Tyreek Hill, the second he plays with Tua Tagovailoa, is going to be like, all right, I miss Pat Mahomes. So
right.
It's going to be
second Tua is throwing the ball like 8 yards, 10 yards away from him on the side. Yeah, when he wants to go deep and the ball's dropping about 20 yards in front of him, he's gonna be like, "Oh man, I wish I just stayed with Pat."
Yeah, I wish I was still playing in Andy Reid's offense and had Pat Mahomes.
Right.
But the funniest thing about that offense is you have arguably the 2 best deep threats in football. Because I love Jalen Waddle, I think he's gonna be a superstar. But you have a quarterback that can't throw more than 30 yards. So it'll be interesting to see what Miami does long term. I think they're another team that could potentially draft a quarterback in 2023.
Right. Well, and Kansas City has a lot of picks, and it won't shock me if they try to package up to just go get that big number 1 receiver that they kind of want to get.
I think that's
how much do the Chiefs really need a lot? People think, the Chiefs are done. They're going to be in last place in that division. I mean, you have to have your head examined to think that. I'll be honest.
They need defensive help. They do need defensive help on that team.
I still think the Chiefs. I mean, if the Chiefs finish last in that division, it's not going to be because they're a bad team. It's going to be because the division is loaded. Every team in that division is good now. Right after Russell Wilson went to the Broncos and the Raiders get Devontae Adams and Chargers spent a ton in free agency and Herbert's only going to get better. But I'm with you. I don't see the Chiefs just falling off a map. I mean, at the end of the day, you still got arguably the best quarterback in football, and you got Andy Reid. So they're still going to find a way to be competitive and stay in football games.
That's about it, guys. I don't want to hold Taylor too long tonight. I appreciate the time that he's given me and us. I really do. And, it was a nice show. It's definitely good talking to you after everybody's been watching you for years. Like I said, man, you're the first guy. I didn't even know what a YouTube was, man. I turned it on for the first time to look for a song, and I saw you, man. I don't know.
Is that how you found my channel? You were looking for music and
yeah, man. I mean, the kids told me about it. You can listen to music on there while you work out, and maybe the phone knows I'm a Giants fan because I was always looking at other Giants stuff, and you popped up, and man, and it's grown since for a lot of people. But again, You're the one that people look to. As something breaks down or breaking news on any given day, people are turning on, and I don't care what anyone says. You're the first guy that they're waiting for, and that hasn't changed, man.
Pioneer, Chris.
I appreciate the kind words, guys, and I'm just happy to be a part of the community, man. I'm happy that the community's grown a lot since I started. When I first started on YouTube, there was only a handful of people that did Giants content. Now it seems like there's hundreds. So I'm glad that.
What year did you start, Tana? What year exactly?
I started a little bit after the Barkley draft. I started that year, but not before the draft. I started basically like the start of the regular season of 2018 is when I started. Okay. And I'm glad to be a part of it, and it's been cool getting to go to some Giants games, meeting some Giants fans that know the channel, and looking forward to doing that again this year. But give you my record prediction. I mean, it's hard for me to say until I see what we do in the draft,
right?
But I mean, I'm going to be very conservative this year. I'm going to warn you right now. Last year I bought into the hype, and I think the Giants made it, so I had to expect them to win.
Don't do it.
What?
Don't do it. Don't throw a number out there. Don't do it.
I am not
going to at least wait for the draft, right? We have to at least wait for the draft to see what we get.
Give them the suspense.
Regardless of what, I'm not going to give you a number right now, but regardless of what happens in the draft, they could have an A+ draft for me. I already know I'm not going over 7 wins. That's my max this year for the Giants in my prediction. I will not go higher than that. I probably won't go lower than 4 or 5. So it's probably going to be in that area, and I'm going to hope to be pleasantly surprised.
Right. I think if they stay healthy, and hey, you know what? I'm kind of with Kayla, maybe a game under, man. And I could see. I looked at the record. Let me see what we do in the draft. If we do the right thing, and the O-line is there, I could see Galladay and Barkley having much bounce back seasons. I could see Jones being solid, not great, but solid. I could see the Giants. I could see the Giants winning 8 games. I mean, it wouldn't shock me they went into the last 2 weeks of the season with a wild card spot in the NFC still on the line. I'm not saying they're getting it.
Listen, it's football. It's not going to shock you.
Meaningful football.
Last year, the Giants, if you're being honest with yourself, we're not a 4-win team. But what did we win? 4 or 5 games, whatever we won. We were not that bad. After Jones went down, we became a minor league football team.
Right.
You think back to the beginning of the season, we should have beaten Washington if Darius Slayton could hold on to a football. We should have beaten Atlanta, right? We should have probably beaten Kansas City. So,
thanks,
and so I don't blame fans for being higher than I'm going to be on the team this year. I'm going to be as conservative as I can. I think the Giants last year had a ton of bad luck too. They had a lot of injuries. But I think the other thing you got to take into account is I think there will be a transition because now you have a new coach. It's going to take time for these players to get acclimated to the new offensive and defensive schemes. So there may be a little bit of a rocky start. I hope not. We've become all too familiar with that as Giants fans. But my mindset going into this year is I want to see a different team over the second half. I want this team to get progressively better over the course of the year and see growth throughout the course of the season. And the offense, that's what I'm going to be looking at more than anything else. The offense. Can this become – because those were the major additions in terms of the coaching staff. We brought in an offensive guy with Brian Dable to be our head coach. Can they make a significant difference in this offense? Can we go from a league's worst to close to league average? And, I want to be able to put up 27, 30 points, on a weekly basis if we can. Be able to throw the football, not be too conservative. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year. If it comes with 9 or 10 wins, that'll be fantastic. But I just want to see growth this year. I think that's the most important thing.
All right, Rick wants me to get to his comment. Tell Miz he's wrong about Karlaftis. Here's what I got. I think Karlaftis is a overrated player. Bottom line. But hey, I'm not gonna make any other stuff up with this guy. I think he's overrated. I don't think he's one of the top edges like those other guys. That's just what I feel. 4 or 5 weeks ago, you had people calling him like the second best edge rusher in the draft. I said, let's not get crazy, So I'm not telling you he can't be good or he can't grow. He's not up there with – he's not even close to Thibs, Hutchinson, or Jermaine Johnson. He's just not. That's how I feel.
I like Karlaftis. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he fits our scheme. He seems like he seems like he's better fit for a 4-3 defensive scheme. I'm not saying he can't fit it, but I don't know if he's the ideal fit for the defense we want to run.
Right.
I think you just said it right there, Chris. He's just not a fit for this defense at all. And I mean, what I'm just looking for this season, real quickly, is I'm just looking for guys. I'm looking for foundational pieces and identity to this team. We got to figure out who's going to be part of the future right here. We got to find out some of these young players, if they're going to be long-term pieces or if they're going to be guys that are going to be gone in the next year or two. Like, that's what I'm just looking for personally. It's just foundational pieces on this team and identity, and we see improvement from what we've had to watch the past few years. And I mean, 7, 8, 9 wins. If we get to that, it's gravy. But I have guard expectations. I'm like you, Chris. 7 or 8 wins, and I'm happy from what we've had to watch the past few years. It's just garbage football, so I'll take it. Just give me like something to watch, something to like grasp onto, improvement from the team, foundational pieces and identity, and drafted players that we bring in start showing us something. And development. Development is something big that I want to see with some of these young guys.
For sure. I think you hit on all the points.
You're listening. One thing for everyone out there: you don't have to see if you didn't win 8 games this year. It's not an unsuccessful season. You can see growth in a team, and they still be really young, new, and aren't winning those games yet. But you could still see a direction, and if we see that, I think the fan base will be happy and positive going in. You got to give this regime at least 2 drafts. And we have money for next year's free agency. I'm not saying we'll go crazy, but we have a lot more money to do something. See, I look at it as a 1-2 punch. 2 years. I'm not saying in the 3rd year we're going to the Super Bowl, but that's when you'll start to see, a team gelling and maybe winning some more games.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm going to have excelled expectations going into 2023, it comes down to Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones does not progress this year, I'm going to go in with similar expectations for 2023 as opposed to 2022, because how could I not? It's a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks more often than not are not going to go out there and win 9 or 10 games. You'll get Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in football. I think he won 5 games his rookie year. So I think a lot of whether or not I'm going to turn up my, the heat on my expectations to be that whether or not they can be a 9 or 10 win team is if Daniel Jones takes a big leap this year. If he doesn't and we draft a quarterback, like you said, I think we're looking at 2024 realistically speaking, as the first year with the Joe Shane regime where we could have expectations going into the year where we could actually win this division.
Right.
I agree.
That's the Kayla I know. That's the Kayla we've been listening to. 5 OT, 7 defense, 36 O-line. Kayla, put your I know you just started the channel a few days ago. Put your channel in the chat so Tana could check you out. This girl is a singer. She can sing, so you have to see a couple of her videos.
She's got a singing YouTube channel.
She's got a voice, Chris. She's got a voice, so he'll check you out. Put your channel in the chat for him. You got Delia. He makes videos too. This guy's also a great guy.
What's going on, Delia? Yeah, man, he's a great supporter. I see him on my channel all the time, man. What's going on, buddy?
He does awesome content.
Yeah, man. I love when he gets sarcastic about He gets sarcastic about Malik Willis. I start laughing. I love it. There's videos about it.
That's great, man. I didn't even know.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you.
Oh, there might be a lot of people going viral if Malik Willis gets drafted by the Giants. There's going to be a lot of Giants fans going viral that night.
You got to make her a mod. Opposed to, you know how to do a mod? You know how to do a mod?
Not really. I don't even do many of these. The last time I did this was like 2 months ago. So, dude, Jeff, I don't know. Make her a mod. You know what you're doing?
I'm not even a mod, so I can't.
I'm gonna find out what to do in the next stream, Kayla. I'll make you the mod.
Chris is taking over the operation. You know what?
If you look her up, her picture will pop up on YouTube. There's not too many Kaylas.
All right, I'll check.
That's how I found her.
Yeah, and I agree with Jonathan's remark about Karlaftis, how he fits with Myles Garrett. I actually have Karlaftis going to New England, and I've seen a couple of other people mock him there as well. I don't know, he just feels like a Patriot to me. It's just a feeling I get, and that's why
he'll be an All-Pro there. He'll go to New England, and Bill Belichick will turn him into an All-Pro, just like all these other guys seem to go there and turn into All-Pros.
He just
Hey, what's up, Big Pat's in the house?
What's
Big
going
Pat.
on, Big Pat, man? Glad to see you, buddy.
That's
Big
Big
Pat.
Pat. You know, we all love him. Pat, why don't you call in a couple minutes, final minutes before Tina, before I bounce him out? I don't want to hold up his night. If you want to call in, I'll put the link in real quick.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to Pat.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm just enjoying this right now, like talking with you guys and then watching the Nets give me a heart attack right now in this playoff game that they're playing.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
just-
They have a playing game, right? Playing game?
Yeah, they're up by 10 right now, but the Cleveland's playing scrappy right now on defense, so they're just trying to close it out, and they're having a difficult time doing that. So they got to just get
Dude,
it done.
you guys
'Cause
better not lose. That'll be embarrassing. You better not lose this game.
Oh, it'd be like what the whole season has been about. It's been a whole season of tumultuous like actions. Everything's been going against this team all season. So if they lose, I wouldn't be shocked. We just have to get it done in the next game. I want Boston. I want to play Boston's.
I thought you guys maybe the seating changed right before the playoffs. I thought if you win, you play the Bucks.
No, the Bucks actually are the third seed, I think. So they're playing the Bulls. We'd actually, we'd be playing the Celtics.
What's
and the
up,
Celtics
Pat?
have kicked our ass all season. Pat,
Hey, I just got off. What's going on, fellas? I got a couple of minutes before we have to do the Giants cave, but just want to come on, show some support to Miz real fast. He asked me to come on, so I'll show up for him.
Good to see you, buddy. What's going on?
And nothing much, just waiting on this doggone draft to get here, man, so we can have something to talk about.
I'm the same with you, man. It's like right now I got nothing to talk about. I'm like, what am I going to talk about? I'm going to do another 6 mock drafts. Just let's find out the draft. Then we'll have a month's worth of content talking about the players and talk about the undrafted free agents we bring in and talking about how they're going to fit in both the offensive and defensive scheme. I'm with you. I'm sick of the mocks. At this point, the mocks are just getting silly. I'll go on Twitter and I'll see these so-called professionals making mocks. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm seeing mocks with N'Kobe Dean going 7. It's like people are just making content. It's like, let's just get the draft over with.
It's getting weird now, man. It's getting weird. But Tudo, what's going on, Tudo? I do want to leave you guys with a question before I go off. AK, what's good, man? Check out that AK podcast with me and him on there, man. That's dope. Love his podcast. I love his setup, man. Y'all go sub up AK, man. Road to 1,000. He's gonna get there. And so are you, Miz and Jeff.
Thank you, Pat.
Yo, what do you think about the guy that we signed from Nigeria? What if he could turn into what the guy for the Eagles turned into? Because nobody knew that guy, and when he first started playing, people were laughing like, "Man, you got this foreign guy come over here, man. He doesn't even know what to do." And now he's one of the top paid left tackles or right tackles in the
Mulata, right? You're talking about?
Yeah, Mulata.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, who knows? I mean, we did bring over the assistant GM from the Philadelphia Eagles, who was probably part of the evaluation process with Mulata, and he's worth a shot. I mean, more than likely, he's definitely this year. I expect him to be either a depth player or a practice squad player. He seems like a developmental player, but he's big, and maybe they could develop him into something long term in a couple of years. I still think we need to take a tackle in the first round, but yeah, but no, I think it was a good pickup. He seems like he's a big guy, long arms with some upside. So I'm encouraged. I mean that the Giants have signed like 6 linemen this offseason, so that's encouraging, man.
You wanted the offensive line done, right?
Yeah, we need the depth,
Yeah.
and these guys are at least going to provide depth. That's what they will provide at a bare minimum.
These guys that could be pushing Matt Parrott out the door with all the offensive tackles they brought in.
Right.
I mean, Matt Parrott's going to have to work hard to keep his job. They brought in about 3 or 4 tackles.
Now, speaking of that, 2 questions. Do you think that he can make this roster, given a fair shot?
Mm-hmm.
Given a fair shot. Let him get some snaps. Don't just bring him over because OC is a Giant and we're loyal to him. Give the guy a fair shot. That's what I'm looking forward to this preseason. Give that guy a fair shot. And he's 6'8" or 6'9", 320. Do you think his frame is too small?
He might have to put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle at that height. I saw one highlight video of him. There's not much of him on the internet. So I haven't gotten a chance to really look too much into him, but we'll see in training camp. If to your question is, can he make the roster? He probably can. But I think that speaks more to how bad our tackles are. I mean, right now, Gano is kind of our starting right tackle before the draft. I could see the Giants drafting 2 tackles potentially, one early and one maybe in the 4th or 5th round area. So we'll see what they do in the draft, whether or not he can make the roster. But at a bare minimum, I think he's like a guy like Platzkummer that's going to be put on the practice squad for a few years if he can't make the roster that they kind of put down there and let him develop for a few years.
And maybe bring him up if we have a right tackle in place that's a starter, and you bring him up to be the backup, and he'd be a great swing tackle for it. I actually believe that this guy can make this roster, bro. It's just, I just feel it. I just feel it about this kid, man. I don't think he came over here for no reason. They don't get a lot of pub over there. It's a great thing OCU Manure is doing with that program for those guys to get noticed, because there's no football leagues in Nigeria or anything like that. And that's a great thing. But I do believe this guy can make this roster. I do want him to be at least 335. Let him be 335. Put him 15 pounds, but make sure it's all muscle.
Yep.
And if you put him at that right tackle, I believe that he could be a stronger version of Matt Pert, because he's going to have an attitude, because he has to have a chip on his shoulder, because nobody knows me. I come from Nigeria. It's not a football place. They're already talking about me like I'm trash. They're saying I'm the Nigerian Matt Pert. They're already talking bad noise about him. The Giants fans are talking noise about him. They ain't even gave him he just signed the contract.
Yeah, I don't get that.
They're already talking about
Why would you talk bad noise about it? I don't get that. It's the way I'm looking at him right now is I'm expecting Sandro Platzkummer. I'm expecting a year on the practice squad, like when we brought over an international player. And maybe he does develop into a guy that could be either, like you said, a swing tackle or maybe a starter in 2 or 3 years. I don't think he'll be a starter year 1, but and hopefully, nothing against him. Hopefully, he doesn't become a starter if we draft a tackle 5th overall. Hopefully, it's Thomason who we draft 5th overall, but maybe he does develop into a very valuable swing tackle long term. And I think that's probably what the Giants are thinking.
Yep.
And also what helps out Matt Peart, well, it doesn't help out Matt Peart too, is remember, he's coming off an ACL injury that he suffered late in the season, so he might already be behind the 8 ball in terms of that. And plus, he's not a Joe Shane, Brian Dable guy, so he might have an uphill climb just to even make the roster. If he's even healthy by that time and ready to go by the offseason programming. So, I mean, Peart might already be facing an uphill climb with the tackles they brought in, and him not having any connection to Joe Shane, Brandon Brown, or Brian Dable. Same thing with Shane Lemieux coming off that patella tendon injury. I mean, these guys are going to have to work hard to try to make this roster because they got no connection to this new staff at all. So, I mean, you hope that they can get back healthy and, with some proper development from Bobby Johnson and some of the offensive staff, that maybe they could make this roster and be good solid depth, but it's not a given.
Yeah, we actually might have depth on the offensive line this year, to be honest with you, and that'd be great.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be some cuts this year that Giants fans are not going to be happy about.
Right.
There'll be some guys with the new regime that you may have penciled in that are definitely going to make this team. There'll be 1 or 2 guys that you're like, oh, man, how the hell did he not make the team? It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Cough, Darius Slayton, cough.
Cough, Shane.
I don't know who, but there will be guys that get cut that you don't expect.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know much about this guy, so I would just
Jordan Davis. Oh, I freaking love Jordan.
No,
Davis.
the guy they brought in from overseas.
Yeah, I don't know much about him either, outside of the things that I've read. I mean, I haven't gotten, but he's a project, but he's a project with upside. I mean, he's like Pat said, the guy's 6'9" or whatever he is. If he, like he said, he puts on 15, 20 pounds of muscle, gets some NFL coaching. Maybe he develops into a nice piece. It's the type of signing you like to see. He's got potential, so I think it's a good move.
Yep. But Miz, gotta head off. Gotta do a show in about 2 minutes.
All right. I'll be over there at some point.
Yeah. So Entertainah.
Pat's doing a show over on his channel, everybody. After we close up here in the next few minutes.
Gonna be
on Joe's channel, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Hop on over to Joe's channel, show support. I'm pretty sure we'll see all the exact same faces because we're, so we'll be closing down in a few minutes. Again, I appreciate you coming on, Pat. I appreciate you a lot tonight, Tana. Thank you for your time.
No, man. Thank you for having me on, man.
I'm looking forward to your shows in the next 2 weeks as we get close to this draft. I'm excited. So
I can't wait.
I can't wait either, man. But thank you guys, and I'm gonna head out.
All right, Pat. Be good, man.
All right.
Take it easy, Pat. I'll head over to your channel in a little bit.
So
Yes.
I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna head out too, guys.
Head out also. I'm gonna close up on Tana.
Be good,
One other
buddy.
thing for Taylor, I know he's
Thank
a
you
Mets fan.
very much for on the
So
stream.
I think you might have a run this year. I actually wanted to take the Mets to go to the World Series before the season started, but I didn't get that in.
I did take the Mets to go to the World Series before the year started.
Yeah, well, I'm being
I got
serious.
him
I'm a
at-
Yankee fan, but I think the Mets have I have it this year. Never
I
mind
got him
yesterday.
at,
One game.
I think I got him at 13-1. I put $25 on him to win like 350. So we'll see.
Right.
But they're winning tonight, which is good. A good bounce back win if they could get it. But yeah, man, I'm a huge Mets fan. As far as what Delia says about Jordan Davis, if we trade down, I'd be very interested. If we trade down to that 16 and 19, if he falls there, which I don't know if he will, because he was awesome at his combine.
Yeah.
I'm interested. Not at 5 or 7, but I'd be very interested in the mid-first round.
I brought that up a few weeks ago to the guys in Pat's stream. I said, what if we went – did anyone ever think if we went edge of 5, like if Thibs was there, Kayvon, and we took him at 5, and then we piled on Jordan Davis at 7, which I know is a little early, but can you imagine that defensive line with Leo, Dexter, Aziz, Kayvon, and you add Jordan Davis in the middle? Can you imagine it? That could be a dominant D-line, Chris.
Listen, I want the offensive tackle, but I
know.
But if they do that, I'll say I'll be excited to see the defensive line. That's for damn sure. And Jordan Davis is an impressive prospect, so I would love him in a Giants uniform.
I mean, he looks like a monster. Now that the Eagles traded some picks, because I had him pinned going to the Eagles, but now that they traded a few of those picks, probably won't happen. And
I could see him going to the Chargers. If he gets to 17, I think the Chargers make a lot of sense because their run defense struggled a lot last year.
They have a
There's
strong
a couple other teams. Yeah, so we'll see.
Who's on the Chargers with those edge rushers?
Yeah,
they added. Did they add Mac?
They added Khalil Mack, and they got Bosa.
Mac and Bosa. Come on, man.
Yeah, and
that's
they get
crazy.
him.
You put a Jordan Davis in the middle of that line.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Right, and their offense can score. We know that. So, but guys, Tana, anything else you want to say? I'm not trying to cut you short. I just don't want to hold up your time. I know
No.
Half of the Mets game.
Man, I had a lot of fun coming on. And I'll definitely.
If I get back to City Field, when I do, I will reach out to you.
You send me a message.
I will get you in there, and I will bring you down to the right near the dugout, one of those rows.
You shoot me a message on Twitter. I would love to be able to do that. That'd be awesome. But no, it was awesome. Like I said, man. You want me to come on after the draft with you? Let me know. I'll be more than happy to come on. You've always supported me on my channel. You've always been a great guy. You're a diehard Giants fan, and you're the type of people that I want on my channel, on my platform, because that's what I am, man. So you love your team through and through. You're always respectful, even if you disagree with me. So I got nothing but respect for you. So when you reached out to me, I was excited to come on, and I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate everybody that's listening. That supports not just me, but any Giants content creator on YouTube. So I think it's great that the community continues to grow. And I'm looking forward to the draft, man. I'm looking forward to, seeing what we end up with. I really am. I'm looking forward to seeing the direction this team is headed, and just get the right tackle. Just get the right tackle. I want to be happy on draft night. Just get the right tackle.
Get the tackle, and I think the ball's rolling in the right direction. The fan base is hungry. I pretty much, that night I got to talk to Kim Jones. I think I laid out everything for this fan base. And I think that, like I said, the fan base was bleeding. We're hungry. This is such a loyal fan base. We're just dying to be relevant again. And I don't think we're that far off. Just a little patience. Let these guys do what they have to do. But are you doing something draft night?
Yeah. I'll be live streaming the draft like I always do for all 3 nights. I'll also be live with Bad Dog like the 4 days leading up to the draft, midday, like a 12 to 2, 2 hour, 2.5 hour show for the 3 or 4 days leading up into the draft, and then I'll probably be live at least 2 or 3 days that next week after the draft, maybe one or 2 days, but I'll definitely be live a lot these next 10 days or so once the draft starts to get close. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to finding out what this roster is going to look like going into 2022.
Looking forward. You want to just You wanted that pick at 5 so you could jump through the ceiling. I know, but I think we'll be happy. I think we'll get it this year.
The only way I'm flipping out on draft night, I'll tell you right now, the only way I'm flipping out on draft night with the 5th pick is if we take a wide receiver or if we take Kenny Pickett. If we do either one of those things, I'll flip out. Anything else, I'm pretty sure I won't flip out.
I don't want I was mad at people last year for going nuts for a receiver. And I'll be so angry this year. There was no reason. See, I know Tony can be good. I was not happy with it because we spent money in the offseason on a receiver. I did not think we need. At 20, I'll be honest, I wanted Kwity Paye. He was there.
That's what I expected at that point was Kwity Paye. Right.
But it's in the past. Like we said, these are new guys, and we have to give them their opportunities. I appreciate you coming on, Tina. This was good stuff, man. You're great. We'll be watching your shows. Everybody knows where he's at. You know where to find him. I'm pretty sure you pop on people's phones even probably before they wake up in the morning. So this man, hey, next 2 weeks. So we'll be watching for you. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on and giving me your time tonight.
No, thank you for having me, man. And let's go Giants.
Well, I'll hit you up on Twitter before the draft. Guys, thanks for joining in the chat and making it fun tonight. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.